hunting,
fishing,
cooking,
camping,
conservation,
travel,
gardening,
photography, family.
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 This is the Outdoor Rules Podcast.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think I have a different relationship with the outdoors and
a different perspective.
yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about that. All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Outdoor Rules Podcast. This is going to be a fun episode today. A little bit different than a lot of the content that we produce that's kind of more hunting and fishing specific. I am really excited today to be joined by my sister, my only sister, Kate. Say hi, Kate.
Hello.
And her husband, Jed.
Hello.
And a very, very, very special guest. If you've been listening to the podcast from the beginning, in the first episode that Matt and Mark and I did, I mentioned that I was back in Pennsylvania because Kate was having a baby. And little Anne is here with us today. So if you hear funny noises, it's either Jed or it's it's little Anne. She's such a precious little peanut baby. But anyway, we're gonna kind of talk about the family. And Kate is Kate's the only sister, as I mentioned, but Kate's also the most well-traveled of all of us. She's had a bunch of big international travel experiences, some professional, some educational, some personal. And she's also got a little bit of a different relationship, I think, with the outdoors, but also definitely a strong connection that comes to her from family. So, Kate, I guess let's just kind of by way of introduction, lay it on us.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think this podcast has been interesting because listening to it, all of these stories have been about hunting. I know there's fishing ones that have been in there, and there'll be more coming.
We do both things, hunting and fishing.
Yeah. And when I think about it, I think it's, for me, all of our vacations growing up, we grew up going on vacation. That was really important, I think, to both of our parents, which I really appreciate. It gave us that opportunity to see new places. Even though we went to a lot of the same places regularly, we would every couple of years, I think, go somewhere new that was new to all of us. But I can't think of a vacation other than our yearly trips to DC that did not revolve around some sort of fishing opportunity, typically for me, the ones that I was part of. But I was rarely part of the actual fishing. Like when I think about it, all the times that we went down to, to the bay in Delaware and the boat, they'd bring the boat and all of that. I recall being invited onto the boat one time in like 10 years or whatever that is. I threw up. I was wildly seasick. I hurled over the side of the boat, and Dave tried to make me feel better, Dave Arnold, by saying that I was creating chum for the fish. But I don't think...
That's about the level of sympathy you generally get. And what Kate's talking about, we did a couple annual trips. One was to the Delaware Bay, where we would do a lot of surf fishing down on the beach. We rented kind of a small, cheap, rustic beach house in a little community.
Like amazing place.
Right.
That now, I don't know if you've looked at renting there. It's more expensive than renting in Hatteras.
Yeah, it's blown up.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we've talked a lot about our deer camp. We also did trips up there, and Kate mentioned the DC trip, which she's right, as I think about it, like the only non-fishing trip that we did was we would go every year to Washington, D.C. and stay down there for a couple of nights. And although I kind of still feel like there was like a little bit of an outdoor connection with that, because one, we were often, I mean, we take the metro places, but we walked around the city a lot.
We did a lot of walking.
Right. Around.
Walk running, because our father is like the fastest walk runner. So it's like we were training for that. It's now an Olympic sport. I think we probably could have competed as children.
Like the power walking thing?
Yes.
But then we would also, the Smithsonian Natural History Museum was something that we did every year.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't remember ever going down there and not going through natural history.
Yeah, we did, and Air and Space pretty much every year. But Dad would always find something new, and if there was a new museum or exhibit, he would, find a way, I think, to get us tickets to that.
Right.
But yeah, that's the only trip that I recall that did not have some sort of hunting or fishing related, kind of main theme. That's why we were there. That's what people were going to spend most of their time doing. And, that's not what I spent my time doing in those locations. And some of it is choice, but I think some of it was a little bit of a different time. Now you have Kaylee, who has grown up hunting and fishing. I don't specifically I don't think I was ever invited to go hunting. At the time, women really didn't go to deer camp. As a girl, during hunting season. As a girl, I went for the opening of trout season. And then in the summers when families would rent it, I would go. But, now I don't know that I would have said yes had I been asked. So it's not like I'm a huge, I don't feel a huge loss about it, but it's just interesting. I have a very different perspective.
Right.
I think on those places, those trips, those experiences. And, I had great times in those experiences, but I sort of had to make the most of it on my own, because a lot of times, most days, if not every day, revolved around who was going out when, where. Meals were about that, what other activities would be, when the fishing was going to be the best, and, what you could fit in between those things. So I grew up on, at the beach, just enjoying walking the beach, looking for shells, looking for sea glass, relaxing, reading, but being outside. And I think that that's really my relationship with the outdoors, is trying to find peace in the outdoors, trying to relax outside. I'm a relatively anxious person. The whole family is as well. I don't know. That's maybe not come up. But, so that is where I can find some amount of quiet.
Jed, why don't you introduce yourself as well? Just sort of, obviously Kate grew up here in Quentin, which we've talked about, South Central Pennsylvania. What's just a little bit of your story and family history?
I'm Jedediah Joseph Curtis. I'm one of 7 children. I'm the second oldest. We grew up in Cornwall, just a stone throw away from Quentin.
We've talked about the iron mines there at Cornwall a number of times.
Yeah, my parents built we built a house out in Cornwall. It was 6 glorious years of building a house with my father.
They built that house themselves.
Soup to nuts. Framing and everything. It was fun. Not really. Did it once, don't need to do it again. Really easy going. Enjoy hunting and fishing as well. Maybe not the same as the Ruhl boys.
There's an intensity.
Yes, there is an intensity. For instance, Matt gets very frustrated with me when he sees me fishing because I'm doing something wrong. I could do this better or whatever, but I just don't care.
You have more in the same way of the relaxing nature that.
Yes, I could sit there with a fishing rod in a puddle and not catch anything, and I don't care. It's just sitting there and relaxing.
And that's not generally the Ruhl approach to these kind of pursuits.
I want to say that we might be representing what some might call normal people. And their approach to, living.
That's your opinion.
Right. Yes, it is.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
His family, his grandpa had land that now his dad has. And like, so he grew up out in the woods and kind of making his own lean-to and
right. So I mean, you grew up here, same general area as we did. I mean, really pretty close by, and come from a family that
likes being outside.
Yep.
But
as I like to say it in our household, I'm an outside cat, and Kate has turned into an inside cat.
When I'm at home, I'm more of an inside cat. That is definitely true. But Jed could spend all of daylight just outside in our backyard, having a fire or tinkering, in and around the garage.
But your family also does some interesting things that we've never done. I mean, some outdoor cooking stuff. Isn't there a maple syrup thing?
My dad, for a couple years, did a maple fest where he would just tap trees and get hundreds and hundreds of gallons of maple sap and then boil it down, which I think roughly it takes about 100 gallons to make like a quart of maple syrup, give or take.
No idea.
But yeah, you just sit there and watch sap boil. So it's not very interesting, but if you throw a party while you're doing it, it makes it better. But
they do stuff outside all the time, but they're homebodies. Like Jed is naturally a homebody. He comes from homebodies. So that's one major difference of our upbringing is we both spent time outside, but even on some level, even like when I was little, if I was home, I was more inside. I was reading, I was baking, cooking. I do some stuff outside, obviously. But I guess I associate being more active with also traveling. Mm-hmm. And Jed didn't grow up traveling. Like he took maybe two
family vacations growing up.
His whole life, basically, until we met.
Right.
And how long have you guys been married?
13 years? Does that sound right? Yeah, I guess.
Were you 12. Married the same?
12 years. Are you married 12 years?
I think so.
Yeah. We were married the same year.
Kayla and I got married in June, and you guys were in October.
Yes.
And we bought a giant pumpkin from an Amishman. 2 of them, actually.
Right.
That didn't fit in the car.
They had a fall-themed wedding, and we went to a farmer's market, and we bought 2 giant pumpkins from an Amishman. I bought them for decor for their wedding, but then we had to call our parents to rescue us because we couldn't fit them in the car that we had brought, which somebody pointed out to me might be a possibility before I purchased them. But
Mom and Dad like that story.
Yeah, they really do.
Because they're always like, oh, my 2 kids with the master's degree can't figure out.
Yeah. So, Kate, somewhere, I mean, I don't want to say diverged because in a lot of ways we didn't, but I mean, somewhere you kind of took on a more, I don't know, adventurous travel, international kind of track. So I guess just talk real quick about like your educational background and where that took you, kind of like that timeline of things.
Yeah. So I'll say, obviously, we had gone to Canada when I was a kid. We all had gone to Canada.
We took a road trip all the way to Newfoundland. Our parents put us and both of our grandpas.
Yes.
Did Papa go to Newfoundland?
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah. Into a small RV and drove all the way to Newfoundland.
Yeah.
And back.
I was like 2.5. It was before Mark was born, so I couldn't have been more than 2.5. And I'd been there like briefly, like a couple of days, one other time when we were in Maine. But we'd not done any international travel. And when I graduated from high school, Ann Boyer and Ann Boyer was my mom's best friend. She was like a second mother to me. And she's Ann, my little baby Ann's namesake. She and I went on a trip, just the 2 of us, to Ireland, Scotland, and England for 3 weeks. And that was my first exposure to traveling and being that far away from home. And it was like a safe way to experience it because I wasn't with my family, but I was with somebody who was basically family. So I felt safe. But Anne was fun. And yeah, it's like different than traveling with your parents. So we did that. And I don't know that I can say how we landed on that location. I assume it's like we could speak the language and that made it a little easier. And Anne could rent a car and drive, though that didn't mean she didn't hit, like she took off a side mirror in a small village in Ireland. I was like, Anne, you hit that car. She's like, we're continuing. And I was like, okay. She also, did you ever hear the time I was in the back seat because there was a period of the trip where 2 of her friends joined us, and Anne starts going onto a highway she's going on the off ramp, and I'm in the back seat, and they're all talking, going, "You're going the wrong way. We're going on." Like I'm screaming at her. Anyway, so that was really fun, and then I started college that fall, and I am so thankful I had that experience, because what it did is it gave me enough confidence, self-confidence about, hey, I could travel, that when opportunities came to me in college to study abroad, I wasn't like, I didn't let fear get in the way. So when I was a freshman, I had the opportunity to travel to New Zealand for a 6-month study abroad program. And that's really kind of what changed things, I think, for me in terms of my love of travel, the feeling that I could do anything. I could do things that seemed big and scary, and like just go with it and get something really cool out of it. So that was amazing. I could talk about New Zealand for ever. And then I came back from New Zealand. I had another year and a half at college. And then I had the chance to study abroad again. So I went for a semester to Italy, to a small town in Italy. So I was there for 5 months. And then, I got both the bug of travel and of sort of the importance of what you can learn when you really spend time in another place, in another culture with other people. You can see how people are the same, and also how differences are important and beautiful. So I ended up, I after my bachelor's degree, I did a master's degree in New York City, which again, I doubt I would have moved to New York City without those travel experiences,
Right.
because Quentin and New York City could not be further
Really?
apart.
These are very different places.
Yeah. And then after that, I worked in study abroad for about 10 years. So I planned study abroad programming for schools and for students. Annie, I was a study abroad advisor. So I helped students choose programs and help build programs. I did have an opportunity to lead a program to Morocco for a month. And then do some travel as part of that work.
Right. And then, I guess out of that, just a couple of things I'd love to touch on. You mentioned Ann Boyer. We lost Ann last year.
Yep.
In the fall.
Yeah.
She was a great family friend and loved being outdoors, and a super accomplished athlete, particularly a distance runner. Kind of an amazing life story that she had. Mm-hmm. And she really was like a family member to us.
Yes.
Really a lovely person. And this is kind of personal, so you can cut me off or I'll take it out if you want me to. But you guys didn't think kids were in your future.
Yeah.
For a couple of reasons. But anyway, and then not all that long after Ann Boyer passed, you found out that a new Ann was coming.
Yes. And it had been a dozen years, and we'd been told by doctors it was never going to happen. And one day I woke up, and the very first thought that went through my mind was, you're going to name your daughter Anne. And I had no idea I was pregnant. And I was like, that's a very weird thing to think. And I couldn't shake this feeling. And then the next day I decided to take a test, which I was sure would be negative, as it had been for many times over many years. And it wasn't. And we were confused. And now here's little Anne. You just heard her.
Yeah. She's our miracle peanut baby.
She is.
Yep.
And we think she's very tall. She's got long hands and fingers. And we have the sense that I think Anne had something to do with this, our Anne. And I think she sent us an athlete as a final, sort of prank to play on me, because I'm not a huge sport person. And I used to give Anne a lot of, I'd be like, oh, what sport game is on today?
Right.
Is that the one where they kick the thing? And I'm pretty sure she gave me an athlete so that, I will get to spend a lot of time watching sport games. But yeah.
There you go. Little Annie. And then out of that, obviously, it's funny the way we opened this with sort of talking about all our vacations had something to do with hunting and fishing. We did go to Disney that time, although we stayed in the campground and fished there.
Yeah, to be honest, I was thinking about that. I was like, well, there was Disney, but I have to tell you, I don't remember anything from Disney. I remember Poppy, Dad, fishing and saying, go back to the camper, because there was an alligator following his line.
Oh, there you go.
And that's my only real strong memory from Florida.
Yeah.
It's still about fishing.
One of the things I really remember from that trip, because I don't really remember much about the theme park either. I mean, I remember staying in that campground and there being fishing there. I don't really remember actually the fishing, but the one vivid thing was we went, our grandpa, Pop Grant, who we've talked about many times, and there was recently a whole episode about, he didn't travel a ton, but I feel like he had a sense of travel being important and a sense of adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And we were in Epcot, and I don't know, we had to get lunch.
Chinese food.
Yeah. And we were not, our family did not really eat Chinese food at the time. And we walked into whatever, the International Cafe was, the Chinese food International Cafe. And he basically, I think he just walked up and he just said, give me one of everything on that menu.
Yeah, he ordered. Yeah.
And what I remember out of that is, ever since then, we eat Chinese food at home.
Right.
And that lo mein.
Yeah, we eat.
Chicken lo mein was the thing we got.
Love.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So anyway.
I think that, I think with both of our Poppies, but for Poppy Grant in particular, there are a lot of things that he did not necessarily get to experience, but he still he knew they were important and he wanted them for us. Right.
He was not the kind of person that will walk into a place that served Chinese food and be like, I don't know what any of this is. I'm not going to like it.
No.
He was
he instilled a sense of adventure. It's the same as he didn't have the opportunity for education beyond high school, but it was, he's one of the smartest people that I think we've probably ever known. And he helped us understand that education was important and that he wanted that for us if we wanted it. So, but it's the same, I think, with travel and being open to new experiences and having an open mind. And Poppy Grant was incredibly open-minded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think both of our grandpas were in different ways, they had different life experiences, certainly. And Pop Grant did not serve in World War II. There were some things about Papa that his experiences in World War II certainly colored his worldview.
Sure.
In certain ways, but
I think it's so interesting. They're not here to tell their stories, but it's a shame because I think the impact of what they were and weren't allowed to do in World War II it was big for both of them because I think Pop Grant felt guilty.
He did.
He felt
it bothered him.
It really bothered him. His brothers went, and his father said he's the one that needed to stay on the farm. And I think that's something that ate at him a little bit.
See, it's funny. Kate knew this apparently, but we recently taped an episode about Pop Grant, and after we did that, it occurred to me that I wanted to ask Dad about that on the podcast, and I forgot to. And so I asked him, why didn't Pop Grant serve in World War II? Because he was just at the right age. He was born in 1924, so he was 18 in 1942. And it was because he went in and signed, according to Dad, he went in and signed up. He went in and enlisted, and his dad found out and went in and was able to pull him off of the enlistment roll because his dad was allowed to keep a son home to help on the farm. And his dad insisted that it be him.
And like, think about, I mean, luckily they didn't lose anyone in World War II. You think about a big family that lost no one. That was
right, because some of his brothers served.
Right. And brother-in-laws and, you know, and saw some insane action.
Right.
Think about Uncle Alton.
Yeah, we had, and I think we mentioned him, our great Aunt Verna, Dad's Aunt Verna, was married to a man named Alton Snyder, who was at Bastogne at the Battle of the Bulge. Our great Aunt Sarah was married to a man, Bobby Gushert, who was in the South Pacific and drove a landing craft in the South Pacific. So those are really serious pieces of service.
Yeah, I think he lived with like guilt about that or regret, and I'm sure it's in part feeling like he didn't get to, you know, do that service. But also, I mean, if your dad chose one of your sons, you know, to not go do that, like that, it's interesting.
That's right. It had to be a very weird thing that he lived with.
Yeah. Anyway, not the topic of this podcast.
That's okay.
But,
no, this is the podcast. I mean, you know, this is what it's about. But so you mentioned the trips that you took to the time in college. And then after to New Zealand and Italy and Morocco. And obviously, as somebody, you know, that's very tied into the fishing community, New Zealand would be an exciting place for somebody like me to go. What were the outdoor things that you did there, and what were those experiences like?
Hold on, we might need to.
You know, usually
I might be getting hungry. Do you want mind taking her?
Usually, the Outdoor Rules podcasts have dog-related interruptions. This one's our first baby-related interruption, so that's good.
There we go.
Really covered some ground.
Okay, so yeah, I spent a lot of time outside in New Zealand, as is the culture of New Zealand. So I went surfing, not well, almost drowned. I went ziplining. I went rappelling down like past a waterfall. We did hiking. I was on, you know, several like out different in the fjordlands in the boat. Hiking on a glacier, scuba diving. I learned to scuba dive.
That's something I've always wished that I
certified
knew how to do.
Yeah, I mean, I can't teach you.
No, well, I wouldn't even try to learn from you.
I went skydiving. I went bungee jumping. I went whitewater rafting. I went blackwater rafting in a cave system with glowworms. All sorts of things. I mean, New Zealand is, I want to say, the best place on earth because in my opinion,
like New Zealand?
It is. It's a really fantastic place. But I was outside a lot. Every weekend we were going somewhere else in the country. It's funny because we'd be like, oh, we're taking a weekend trip to this place that's an hour away. And our New Zealand friends would be like, what? An hour in the car? Because their sense of scale is so different, right? And so it's like, yeah, for us, it'd be nothing to take a weekend trip to somewhere that's 4 or 5 hours away.
Right.
But that sounded insane to them.
And that's here. Where we are out west now, it's like anything that's not more than 3 hours away is reasonably close.
Right. So, yeah, those types of activities, just trying to be out in nature. Now, a lot of those were with, you know, tour companies or things like that, because I didn't travel with what I needed to go rafting. But it was still being outside, getting to see different parts of the New Zealand landscape. I did go fishing once.
There was like almost an obligatory.
Correct.
What's the story of that?
Well, it's like, you know, the whole time in leading up to going to New Zealand, it's like, oh, New Zealand's got good fishing. Like, I could care less. and red stag, or I don't know, some sort of stag.
Yep, they have. There's a bunch of exotic.
Also, not going to do that. So
nothing would have surprised me more than you going to New Zealand and shooting a red stag.
But like, so anyway, one of the trips we were near Lake Taupo, which is one of the largest lakes, and there was some sort of, hey, you can go fishing for the day. And I thought, well, this will really make my dad and brothers happy, because who knows if they'll get here. Not anytime soon, maybe. So this way, at least, a Ruhl has gone fishing and hopefully caught something.
I love it.
In New Zealand.
See, and now it's fodder for a podcast.
And I did catch something. I told you I'd find the picture, but I don't know what it is. I feel like it was a trout, but it was very large.
I believe that there is both rainbow and brown trout fishery there. So hopefully, if you can find the picture, we'll post it on the website.
Okay, I will look for it. But what I was surprised is it was, I guess it's a deep lake. I don't really know. This was a very long time ago. And my memory is, I'm not known for my memory. Jed has to remind me of vacations we've taken sometimes.
Right.
But what I do remember is that it wasn't like I cast out with a rod. It was like the boat was equipped with some sort of downrigging situation.
Nice. You pulled downriggers out. Yeah.
So it was really, it was especially boring, because I was like, I'm not even doing anything, but that's fine. So yeah, my friend Nita and I went fishing for an afternoon or something.
You didn't do any fishing in Italy or Morocco, I assume? No,
Italy.
What were those, what were those experiences like? Because you were in both New Zealand and Italy for a semester, right?
Correct.
And then you were in Morocco for a month.
Yes.
Now for work.
That was for work, yeah. So Italy, it was just a very different experience from New Zealand. There's a couple of reasons. So one, in New Zealand, the reason I went is that at the time, my college had a program where they would send a professor each semester, and then they'd send a group of people from the school, and you would take classes at the local university. And then you would also take some classes that the professor taught. Well, one class that the professor taught. And then the school contracted that you would take a class in like the Maori culture. So I was with like 23, I think, other students from my college. I didn't know them. I was a freshman. They were all upperclassmen, but still that's a real security,
right?
Like feeling. Plus the professor.
Plus you're in a country that speaks
English. Right. And we lived in the dorms with like local New Zealand students and other international students. I went to classes with people, so that were local. It was you felt really embedded into the culture. And that was the nature of that program. In Italy, I went to a program that was focused on the language. So I spent a month doing intensive language study with other students, and then other students from the US. And then it was a center where the content courses like political science or whatever was taught in English just for those other US students. So you didn't really have the opportunity to interact as much with local students your own age. But for that experience, I was also the only one from my college who went that semester. So you did not feel you had the same safety net or the same sense of home, or people who at least have some sort of shared,
right.
We know who we're talking about, or we know a place that we're talking about. So that was a little more nerve-wracking. Again, I feel like my experiences built upon each other to allow me to feel comfortable doing that.
Right.
But before I went to Italy, had you asked me, I would have said like, oh yeah, I really like museums. I really like art. I really like history. And I do like those things. But if I saw one more Renaissance painting, good God. Like it's just, it was much harder to have that outdoor experience. It felt like, even though there are parts of Italy that are incredibly wild and beautiful. And I had some of that, but it was just harder to experience that for lots of reasons. And so I came out of that realizing how much more I get from, I guess, like less populated, more wild places, outdoor places than from, just going to cities.
Right.
And being in museums and things like that.
Makes sense to me.
And Italy's great. The food's fantastic. The food is way better than New Zealand food.
Yeah.
I will say that.
There you go.
In my opinion. And yeah, it was still, I'm happy that I had that. And like I said, there are lots of, beautiful coastlines, and I did hikes and that type of thing, but it's more populated. There's less of that wild space.
There's a couple of things that I've learned about Italy recently from a fishing standpoint that make me more excited about potentially going there. Like they fish for bluefin tuna off the coast of Sicily, and there's some sword fishing in the Mediterranean. There's some interesting things.
Yeah, and there's plenty to see. And if you want to go into northern Italy, into the Alps, it's really beautiful. And there, like when I was traveling there for work, I ended up at like a outdoor. It's a park, but it's also like an art museum. But all of the art is made from like sort of natural things, and so it blends with the landscape, and that was really cool. But I didn't need to be in the Uffizi Museum. I never need to do that again.
And then what was Morocco like?
Morocco, well, it's kind of a combination, I guess, of the two. But Morocco it's beautiful. The food is amazing. The people are really friendly. I had a very little amount of Arabic language prior to going. And then that's how I was chosen to go and be in charge of the first time that the organization was sending students there. No one had even visited before they set up the program. So it was also a little bit stressful to be, in charge of other people in a place that I know very little language.
Right.
And when there's a medical issue or any other issue, they're coming to me to help solve. And obviously we worked with a local school there, but that part was nerve-wracking. But yeah, I didn't end up going. I was in a particular part of Morocco that had Spanish influence, which is unusual. Most people think of Morocco having French influence. So even the Arabic was interesting because there'd be Spanish words thrown in, but it was not near like the Sahara or that type of thing. So it was closer to the Rifi Mountains. We went there once to go to Chefchaouen. Sorry. Chefchaouen's in Sicily. To Chefchaouen, which is the kind of known as the city with the white and blue. And we did a little hiking around there. We did some hiking around the coast. But mostly I was in the city in Tetuan. But yeah, highly recommend. Oh, their pastries are very good.
Yeah.
And they just have like wooden carts full of pastries.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah, it's amazing. for not a lot. And you're like, yes, I will take that. But yeah, getting to explore like the old cities and the souks and, kind of getting lost in the mazes of those old cities. That was really cool. But I didn't spend as much time outside. Outside of a city.
Right. Now, you guys have done a handful of international trips since you've been together.
Yeah.
Where all have you gone?
Ecuador, in the Amazon, the Galapagos Islands, Scotland.
Yeah, internationally, I think that's what we've done together.
Yeah.
So the first time Jeb was on a plane was when we went to Montana to come visit you.
Oh.
So that was, Montana's, if you've grown up here,
yeah, sure.
Montana's almost.
Oh, I don't think that. I guess for me, travel is travel.
Right.
And international travel is complicated from the passports and potentially visas and the other elements of it. But this is a big country and there is a lot to see here. And there is a lot of surprising things, and a lot of diversity and just because you didn't
Right.
leave this country doesn't mean,
Right.
you can't have an amazing travel experience and really learn some things about culture. I mean, the culture of Santa Fe, New Mexico is very different than the culture of Quentin, Pennsylvania.
Right.
And I'm not knocking Quentin, Pennsylvania or Santa Fe, New Mexico. They're just very different places to experience.
Comparing apples and oranges.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway.
So yeah, our first trip together, big trip, was to Montana to visit you and then back for your wedding. Though that was mostly cupcake making.
Oh man, Kate made 30 dozen cupcakes. Kate and Jed. I mean, a lot of people help, but Kate is the family baker. Obviously our mom does a lot of baking and is very skilled with that stuff too, but Kate kind of does some next level things in terms of making cakes, and she led the production of 30 dozen cupcakes in 4 different flavors for Caitlin and I's wedding. And she really impressed the caterer. The caterer really asked us several times after that if Kate was considering moving to Montana and starting a business because she wanted to work with her. But anyway, that's
30 dozen cupcakes with 1 oven.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, right.
1 oven. That was like, we flew in on a Wednesday night. We baked all day Thursday. We iced
hours.
All day Friday. We were in the wedding Saturday. We took a hike with most of our family, but I don't think you went. But like, I led the hike of, it turns out, a lot of people who were hungover and like sweating booze to Fairy Falls. Like,
I don't know how they got hungover from our wedding.
And then we flew out, and so it was like almost all cupcakes. But so Montana, and then we were in Alaska together. We traveled to Alaska. You were there for like a day and a half of our time overlapped.
Is that
maybe 2 days?
I think we met in Homer, right?
Yeah.
You guys were there for a couple days.
You'd already been there for a while, and we're on your the end of your trip, and we started in Homer and
killed your parents.
Had a fun boat experience. And then we rented a motorhome with Jed, me, Mom, and Dad. And that was our group for the week. So we did those. And then for our honeymoon, which was really a year and a half after we were married, we went to the Galapagos and then to part of the Amazon rainforest in Ecuador. And that was amazing. Jed will never go back to
Been there, done that, don't need to do it again.
The Galapagos you do.
Yeah, the Galapagos, sure, but the Amazon, I'm good. That was
Very high humidity.
It was just too much like Gilligan's Island.
It was hot.
I for one thing, I'm not good at reading emails, and Kate sent me all these emails about this eco lodge in the Amazon. And obviously I didn't look at the emails, and all of a sudden we're taking a 2-hour bus trip from the airport to this river or stream, and then another 3-hour trip upriver to this thatched roof Gilligan's Island looking place where you have to shower in lagoon water. Where then, okay, I showered, but I still don't feel clean.
Not a lot of air conditioning.
No, 0 air conditioning, and super loud at night, which I'm fine with. But Kate said there was a puma on our back porch at some point.
And there was only electricity 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
So
once there was no electricity, you don't leave your hut.
Sounds like a real hoot.
we did that night hike. That was terrifying.
Yeah, everything wants to kill you.
Yeah, it was. So what we learned about the rainforest is that it's really loud and everything wants to kill you.
Right.
And it was incredibly hot. And, warm weather is not Jed's jam. No. He's a cold weather guy.
Right.
So,
if you could see Jed, you would understand why. Jed is a big, very broad-shouldered dude.
Clearly of Northern European descent.
Right. And I think just better designed for cold weather than for hot weather.
Yeah. So, so that was, we had that experience. That was really memorable. And then I had a goal, ever since Grant was born, my first nephew.
That's Matt's oldest son.
That I wanted to take each of my nieces and nephews, or give them the opportunity to go on a trip anywhere they wanted to go when they graduated from high school. Based on my story, I think you can tell why that was something that was important to me, because I felt it was really seminal in my development and that sense of being able to feel comfortable traveling, independently. It's like a bridge. And so when Grant graduated from high school in 2019, we went to Scotland. I'd say he chose it, except for he's Grant, so he doesn't have strong opinions. So it was a lot of just like, okay. So I think I gave, love you, Grant. He's not listening to this. So I'm sure I gave him some options, but I did also, I kind of went with what I went with. I wanted to stick to somewhere that was English speaking, because I thought he would feel more comfortable. And so I planned a trip to Scotland around a couple of key activities, one of them being fishing, because Grant really likes fishing. He's not much of a hunter, but he does really like to fish. So we did a fly fishing day in Scotland with him and Duncan, our fly fishing guide. And Grant almost drowned. A lot of my stories, someone almost drowns, which may also speak to why it took a long time, but I've learned that Jed is not that comfortable on bodies of water.
Yeah. So what's like, lay that story out just a little bit, and how you came to discover that.
So I really like the ocean. I like water in general. It's soothing to me in some capacity. We grew up going to the bay a lot. I like hearing waves. I like being on boats. I was not often asked to go fishing on a boat, but I really liked when Dad would take us to Blue Marsh and we'd go like on the ski bob, or what is that thing?
Yeah, it was like there's a local lake here called Blue Marsh, and we had a tube, basically. It was called a ski bob.
Okay.
But it was a inflatable tow behind water sport toy.
And that's my type of thing, because I also always really liked going fast. Like as a kid, you hated rides.
No, I hate roller coasters. I mean, to this day, I hate them.
Yeah. Fun is not really something you like.
No, I hate fun.
I really, really, like, I couldn't get enough of roller coasters and speed and all of that. So I loved doing that. So yeah, we took Jed tubing one time. That was probably the first time we were on a boat. I took him down to the bay trout lining for crabs, because I do like that. That's if we're going to like hunting, fishing.
Yeah. You like crabbing.
I do like.
Right.
And a lot of the things that I would plan for us involved boats. So when we went to Ecuador, we were on several boats, Galapagos, obviously. Aforementioned canoe-like thing that took us up that 3-hour trip to the thatched roof place. And then in Alaska, we did a lot of boat-related activities.
Yeah, so the first part of the trip that we were on together, we stayed in Homer, and I had rented a boat. There were very few boats that you could rent in Homer to fish there for halibut, but I found one and rented a boat, and you guys went out with us at least one day for that, right?
Yeah.
I think it was only one day.
Jed's pretty sure it was only one day, because after that
trying
day...
to set the anchor, and your dad's like, well, this is how most boats capsize when trying to set the anchor. I was like, great, this is how I died. And you couldn't see anything because it was that foggy.
Oh, yeah. Well, obviously, that experience, there's a reason why it's kind of hard to rent a boat in Homer. You get giant tides, and it's very cold water, and it can be very big water, and it can get dangerous. And I think we had halibut fished with a guide close by there at some point, who, when we were pulling the anchor, we were like driving the boat around the anchor to get above it so that you could pull it out. And that guide told us that a lot of people die because they capsize their boats during that process. And you have to be very careful about that.
Right. And so Poppy had heard that and felt the need, as you were trying to set the anchor, to talk about it. And I didn't love that conversation, but I was fine with it. And I, at that point, did not realize that Jed really does not like watercraft. Like, I had no idea still.
A big enough boat, sure. But it was a small boat.
Yeah, but even big boats, you're kind of grumpy, if we're being honest.
Okay, are you talking about the wildlife tour that we did for 8 hours?
Yeah, probably.
Well, for one, we didn't see anything really all that great. Two, the day before, Poppy and I went on a salmon charter boat, and we saw whales breaching, and it was really hard to top that. So,
Yeah. Nemo and I did not see that.
yeah, you guys weren't with that.
But yeah, so we did. So we were on that boat. I still didn't realize he hates boats. And then we were.
It goes on.
Yeah. Then I thought it would be a good idea to go kayaking at like midnight. We were staying at a campground in Seward. Yeah. And
Double kayak.
yeah, double kayak
Don't be the steerer guy.
a double kayak will really test a relationship.
But at 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, so it's 11 o'clock at night, but it's
Don't wear jeans.
light outside. And yeah, so his
Splash skirt
didn't work, and his legs were cold, I guess. I don't know. But he was in charge of steering because he's in the back. And he, you're in the kayak. There are waves because, it's a very deep bay. And you don't want the waves to be hitting you broadside.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. And so all we needed to do was
I'm not
keep.
a boat person. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to stay close to shore. So
That's what it was. He was trying to stay. He was so invested in staying close to shore. He wanted to stay close enough to shore that he felt like he could make it back. But I didn't understand that. And I was like, why do you keep putting us in this position that we are more likely to go over, which nobody wants? We would have been fine, but nobody wants. And so we kayaked out to some area with our, and again, we had a guide
named
Trampus. He had like a tooth thing coming out of his chin. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
What?
He had
like a tooth piercing.
He had a piercing, and he had like what looked like a major bear tooth or
coming
something
out of his chin.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting.
Anyway.
His name was Trampus.
His name was Trampus. So anywho, so we made it to this thing. We took a little hike. That was fine. And then we have to get back in these kayaks to go back. And no one's looking forward to it at this point because our marriage has barely survived the first half of this trip. And it's incredibly difficult to steer from the front of a 2-man kayak when your husband is steering you absolutely
apparently it's hard to steer from the back too.
In the wrong direction. And we're on our way back, and I'm like, Jed, you are steering us to shore. And like we shouldn't be steering to shore.
Before.
And he's like, no, I'm not. I'm like, yes, you are. You are steering us directly to shore. And he said, and I quote, Kate, that is a mirage. You are experiencing a mirage. That's water ahead of us. I was like, no, it's land. And like about a minute later, he's like, why is there a person and a dog over there on that water? I'm like, because it's land. Anyway, we did it. We made it back without tipping. But Trampus was like, man, I thought you guys were going over. Because we just kept getting like really close to shore and the waves hitting us broadside.
And so after years of doing boat-related things on various bodies of water, what you really discovered here
that Jed doesn't like boats of any size.
And this is the problem, Jed, with being too nice, which is what we accuse Jed of all the time. Jed is too nice. I just tell people I don't like roller coasters. I'm not going on a roller coaster.
Yeah, I'm not sure I even realized it in that moment. I think I probably put him on several more boats until I really had oh my God, Jed doesn't like boats. And then I was like, you don't like boats? He's like, no. Could have told me. I want to believe I would have chosen different activities for us, but it's possible he still would have had to go on some boats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This has been great. I mean, it really is amazing how important and how memorable travel experiences are. Was there anything else about Scotland or any of the other trips that you guys wanted to talk about?
I don't know. Scotland's great. You'd have to ask Grant, but he did almost drown in our fishing experience.
How did that happen?
So the guide provided us with like our waders and all of that stuff, and we were fly fishing. And so he had us go out in this stream that opened up then into
like a lock.
Yeah, into a lock. And I think it was into a saltwater lock.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the way that the stream was, it's like it was deeper right at the bank, and then it went up a little, and he took us out to that part to stand to fly fish.
Which when we started, it was below our knees.
Yeah, like probably.
Oh, it was tidal. No?
No, there was a dam upstream
That apparently opened, but
right.
I guess our guide did not know that was happening. So it started, and it was well below our knees, but it was like swift enough, but like below our knees, and it just suddenly was much higher,
like waist,
much more dangerous.
Yeah, and we still had to get back to shore, where like that part is like chest level, and I mean we're in chest waders, but
at this point it was moving pretty good.
Yeah, it was moving really fast. So we had to make like a human chain, So the guide made it across, and then, it's like Grant's turn, and then me, and then Jed's the anchor. And so Grant goes, and it's just Grant is a skinny kid.
Yep.
And the water and current just like took his legs out from under him, and he's looking me straight in the eyes, going, "It's taken me! It's taken me!" And I'm like, Grant, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. Because I'm thinking, I'm not going to be able to take any more nieces and nephews if I kill the first one on this trip. Good Lord. And then he made it, and I made it, and it was moving really fast. And then Jed was just like, I'm fine. Just like walked right across like it was nothing. But it's taking me, man. There was a panic there. And the thing is, had it in fact taken him, those waders would have filled up with water real fast.
Waders are dangerous. Made a living for a long time wearing waders, and they're high, fast water is nothing to mess around with.
No, it was not ideal. But
you don't swim very far in waders.
But we did. He had an experience, and
he'll never forget it.
He will not forget that. It was a really good trip. He got to try. We went to a what am I thinking? With the stuff and the log throwing.
Highland Games?
We went to a Highland Games, and Grant got to try a bagpipe, which he's really musical, so that was cool. We went to our ancestral clan castle. That was fun. And stayed. We did. I don't really do camping because, like most people, I like indoor plumbing. But we stayed in like a geodome type of thing, and then they had real bathrooms. You had to walk to them, but I can do that. I don't really poop in holes or buckets. It's not my thing. But so we did that. So it was a really fun trip with him, and hopefully we'll get to do more of them with the other nieces and nephews, and now Anne.
Yeah. So obviously you guys are probably on a little bit of a pause here. Anne's just a couple of months old at this point. Maybe not quite ready for international travel yet. What are you looking forward to? Like, what do you have anything in mind as far as trips as a family, including Anne, or other travel?
Well,
it's okay to not. I understand when you have a new baby that. Yeah,
no. This year, I'm thinking I'd like to try to go to Maine with her. I really like Maine, coast of Maine, down east Maine. Addison would like to go to Italy when she has her trip, which I don't know that it'll be this year, but it'll be at some point. Kaylee likes the idea of France. They get, like I said, they get to choose.
Within reason.
Within reason. So I don't know. We'll see. Jed loves Scotland, so we'll definitely be back there at some point.
And I think we're going to talk about it on a future podcast soon. And maybe I've mentioned it before, but I'm going to take Robert to Norway this summer with both of his grandpas and some other friends. I'm looking forward to that. If you guys weren't, if you guys didn't have this situation going on, I would say we should try to meet up in Norway somewhere. But I'm going fishing there, Kate.
I know. I'm aware.
Does that surprise you?
It does not.
No. All right.
For more than one day. I could maybe do a day, but
yeah,
that's where it ends.
And we'll have to get you guys back on at some point, because you do a whole bunch of other outdoor stuff that has family ties too. Like you guys do. Well, I shouldn't say more, but you guys do a lot of gardening.
Yep.
Which, like, Caitlin and I kill every plant we touch. It's probably the farthest thing of being of interest to Matt. Mark and Rachel do a little bit as well, but you do a fair amount of.
Yeah.
Jed, we had New Year's. We're just after New Year's here, so we celebrated the New Year. Jed's real big in outdoor cooking, so he made campfire breakfast yesterday, which has quickly become a family tradition. Anytime we're in, we do a campfire breakfast thing. And you do some canning and preservation and other cool stuff. So
yeah, we do a lot of gardening on our quarter acre. We have for a quarter acre, we have a lot of things.
And you have fruit trees,
berry bushes. Pretty much when we plant it, it's going to produce something that we can eat. But even that is a family connection, because my very first garden was on Aunt Sarah and Uncle Bobby's property. And I thought, man, gardening's easy. But it turns out I think they were doing a lot of it.
They might have been covering a lot of the hard work.
So that's a separate podcast, but yeah.
Yeah, and that we mentioned in the Pop Grant, the Grants podcast, that there's a house so we're in our family home in Quentin here, and just a couple doors down is where Dad's Aunt Sarah and Uncle Bobby lived. And they had a huge lot and a huge garden, and it was impressive, all the things that they raised. And then there's a house just across the street from that our family, both sides of our family, helped to build. It was a parsonage. That is the home that Kate and Jed own and live in now. So all this, the better or worse, Quentin is really kind of the center of the rural universe for us. Yep.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thanks again for doing this, guys.
Yeah. Thank you.
Anytime.
All right. I love you guys.
Love you too.
Okay. Thanks everybody for listening. As always, you can find almost all of our content on www.outdoorrules.com. We're on Instagram @OutdoorRules. We're also on Facebook. And if you really want to do us a favor, you could leave us a review or comment on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. We would really, really appreciate it. Thanks for joining us, Ann. All right. Thanks, guys.
Hunting and fishing, the great outdoors, mixing history, laughter, love, and folklore. Creating memories with family and friends. These are the trophies that matter in the end.